Liz, I have something to confess.
Oh no, here we go. Let's go.
Over the last 32 years, I have been sleeping with a beautiful, exotic, foreign, hot model.
Since you were a baby.
Yes. Yeah. Which makes this even more fucked up. And you should be laughing right now. And named, and I know this makes me sound stupid, but named Hilaria Goebbels. Or Goebbels. Hilaria Goebbels, yes. And we met at like a baby mixer. She was an adult. She was like a chaperone there, but we hit it off.
An adult or an adult baby?
No, she was in her mid 40s. And we like kept in contact for a long time, and like I just things have been intimate on and off with us for a while, and like I unfortunately have told her basically everything about you.
About me?
Yeah. I haven't told her anything about me, but I've told her everything about you. And she's been, I guess, technically, I'm finding out through the papers and stuff like that, also through actually believing her when she tells me she is a registered foreign agent for the Fourth Reich. And so I'm going to go ahead and say mea culpa on this. My bad. Yeah, mea culpable. This is, that's how I think of it in my head. So mea culpa on that.
Is it a little Italian guy?
Yeah.
Like, mea culpa.
And so I just want to say I'm sorry for this. I don't know what she could even do with your social. I give your social security number out all the time, so I don't think it's that big a deal.
Well,
no one does anything with it.
That's just the one that they assigned me. That's not my real one.
Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein. Come here. Jeffrey Epstein.
That's right, you little perverts. You guessed it. You know what we're talking about today. Sex.
Wait, no, we're not.
We're talking a little bit about it. Or using sex to get what you want.
Let's gesture towards it. We're going to gesture towards it.
Last night,
say that.
I guess I was. Andrew told me last night that Steve Harvey spoke at his high school.
Which
weird. Is insane.
Yeah. Did he go to like a joke high school?
It just went to, public high school in Seattle. I don't know if it's good or bad or anything.
in the Chaz.
That's they had. Yeah. He was educated in the Chaz. But Steve Harvey came out and he was like, all you fellas out there, you got to work hard, blah, blah. All you ladies out there, and he's talking, mind you, to like freshmen. He's like,
yeah. You
ladies are sitting between your legs. You have a gold mine.
He said that?
Yeah, to a group of high school students, which
Jesus
is, I guess,
Steve Harvey.
People walked out.
Inappropriate.
I would stay there and see what else it was going to say.
Also, that was like what? How old is Andrew? That was like last year or something.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Well, it was a few.
Few months. Yeah.
If that wasn't a little hint, we have Steve Harvey with us today.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
My name's Liz.
I'm Brace. Sorry, I'm so nervous. we have my friend Young Chomsky, who's not feeling well. So, ladies and gentlemen out there, I want you to, while you're listening to this, I want you to think, oh, Young Chomsky, please feel better. Oh, please feel better. Oh, I want you to feel better. And the podcast is called TrueAnon, The Power of Hope.
Welcome, everyone. So, yes, we are talking about sex, but not just yet.
No, we are first. So this is going to be, I think this is our last pod before the trial starts.
The last pod before the trial starts.
Yes. Okay. I knew you wanted to go somewhere with that. You did, but you didn't know where you could go. And so yeah, but it's beginning in a week from today.
Yes. A week from today, we'll be there. Front row. Actually, not front row, because I think that's guests of, well, that's actually where Galain sits.
Liz, actually, I didn't want to bring this up, but I am actually going to be in the front row. We can talk about this after, but there's some stuff we probably should work out before this trial starts. But yes, we are going to be there. Liz in the docket on trial, and myself as her lawyer. And we there's been this sort of a last like burst of news coming out of the courtroom before they execute her on the 29th.
Yeah.
And, there's some jury pool drama. They've been whittling it down.
Whittling. I love that. Whittling, which I always spell wrong, by the way. It's whittle. Yeah, they're whittling down. They are announcing or picking the final 12 jurors. They're being selected. I shouldn't say announcing or picking. It's not like America's Got Talent or whatever. I don't even watch that show. Where did that come from?
I don't know.
They are selecting the 12 jurors along with the 6 alternates Monday morning, and then they're going to go into opening statements, which should be interesting. The trial, like we said, was supposed to last about 6 weeks. Here's hoping.
Yeah, I've heard that the defense is hoping for 12 horny men.
Oh my God. That's horrible.
To be on the jury.
That's the joke
like
you
that?
wanted to go.
Yeah, that's you didn't like that?
No.
Okay, well, we're keeping it in anyways.
Okay.
So there was a juror got excluded for saying that he met Jeffrey Epstein.
Which is very funny.
Yes, which is, you don't, I mean, I guess, why even show up? So
of
that's
all
my
the gin
question.
joints in all the towns, you know what I'm saying?
Downtown Manhattan, probably not that crazy.
Well, they're selecting from all over.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. But another gal got kicked out for saying that her daughter was involved with the anti-sexual violence group RAIN.
Yeah. What's interesting is that, so she mentioned that, and then at the trial, Isabel Maxwell, who is there, present, sister, one of the twins, one of Ghislaine's twin sisters, Isabel Maxwell, she like leans over and whispered to one of Ghislaine's lawyers, I'm assuming Miss Bobby, Bobby with an I, and then right after, excluded.
Yes. So she was like, we can't be having that.
Yeah.
In addition to Isabel being there, one of the, I gotta say, this lady has stuck by Galain through thick and thin, and so it's no surprise to see her there. Miss Leah Safian, ladies and gentlemen, will be there. And now you might be wondering, who is this fucking freak? Well, she is, and I might have another tidbit about her that I might be mixing her up with someone else. I'll have to check up on that. But she was confirmed basically the person behind that infamous In and Out photo of Ghislaine sitting there and reading the CIA book at In and Out that was released right when people were asking where the hell she was.
Yeah.
But let me see if I can find her. I could swear that she had a Twitter where she talked about football a lot, but I can't find it now. But anyway, she is a lawyer and she is a jolly looking woman, and I cannot wait to spend some time with her.
In my head, she has like kind of a Kate plus 8 haircut.
I don't know what that is, but she looks exactly like you'd think.
So we're probably on the same page. And to
Yes.
my listeners, our listeners who know what I'm referring to, kudos.
So Ghislaine is having the time of her year there at the trial.
Yeah, okay. So last time we checked in with you little gumshoes out there and Miss Ghislaine Maxwell in here, she was not looking so good. She had a black eye. She's all whining to the papers. She's calling her, her brother is calling her like the new Julian Assange or whatever.
Yes.
They're talking about, the disgusting treatment at Americans' prisons, which, okay, fair enough. And then this bitch breezes into the courtroom. She's got a new haircut, totally new haircut, black eye gone, looking fantastic. She's blowing kisses to like people in the courtroom. She's laughing. She's canoodling. Like she is a whole new woman. Stylish, confident. She's got her groove back.
And so it is in federal court. I think I don't know if this is the same in state court, but in federal court, I know that you can't actually have the defendant be in chains and like a jumpsuit during the proceedings. So she's like in normal-ish clothes.
Why is that?
What do you mean, why is that's good that they don't do that? Because that prejudices the jury. Because if you bring a guy out in chains, you're like, oh, that guy's guilty.
Yeah, you're like, oh, that's the guy. That's the jailhouse guy. It's the
If
criminal.
If we're looking for a guy who did it, it's got to be the guy who's in handcuffs. Are you crazy? Who else would it be? It's the prison guy.
They should just make everyone come out in that, and then no one can be biased.
Well, what the British do is they really sort of throw sand in your eyes by making everyone look as insane as possible. So no one could even tell. I mean, they bring you out. They have an executioner instead of a bailiff in British courtrooms. They have a guy in the full hood and everything with an axe.
Yeah, and they make everyone wear wigs and funny costumes.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, she seems to be in high spirits, which is a little confusing to me because I still don't think this trial is going to go well for her. Like I have played out all of the different possibilities here, and I don't think there's any way she's getting off with. Yeah, it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be good for her. And so maybe she is sort of hinting that they have something up their sleeve, or maybe she's just a fucking. Honestly, maybe she's just practicing mindfulness and living in the moment and is glad to see her friends.
Yeah, maybe she's just also, you know what? She knows she's a girl, so she knows you put that energy out there, it comes right back at you. She's doing the secret. She's in there, mind over matter. But it's true. It is weird. Vicky Ward, she's there and she tweeted, "This morning in court, Ghislaine Maxwell looked anything but unhealthy. She was glowing and relaxed. I was prepared for a shock, but the shock I got was different from the one I expected." I gotta say, not a fan of that tweet.
Not a fan of that lady, but also
I know.
she should know. I mean, she's seen Ghislaine in high spirits when they've hung out before, and so this must be a shock for her. Obviously, she's prepared for it. My God, my old friend there, shackled or not actually shackled. I did just say that she wasn't, but unshackled, but still with the looming sword of Damocles type shackles hanging above her head, a ghostly visage above her, almost like an iron, like a halo that could descend upon her at any moment and tighten. Yeah. Well, there's been a couple. I've seen a lot of. I hate to be this. I hate to be a debunker here.
A debunker?
I have to debunk a couple things.
I gotta say, it's so funny when you tweet that. Not tweet that, when you text that to me. I thought it was the first time you did it, I thought it was like a spell check thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then I realized, oh no, you're saying debunking. And then I said it out loud and then I laughed to myself. And I had a nice time.
I gotta debunk a couple things.
Debunk me.
Is that a lot of people have been like, interesting that the Kyle Rittenhouse trial was televised, but the Ghislaine Maxwell is not televised. Yes.
What are they, morons?
They don't. That's because Kyle Rittenhouse's trial, like the OJ trial, was in state court. So they are videotaped.
Yeah, debunked.
I'm debunking you by saying this.
Yeah, you
federal
got
cases are not videotaped. You notice that there wasn't any videotape of the Jeffrey Epstein trial either, because it's in a federal fucking court.
Yeah, what is it? How stupid do you have to be? People are so stupid.
Exactly. I mean, you gotta just think about it for a couple of seconds.
You know what? I do think that it's good for our debunk squad, though, if people keep being stupid, because it's pretty easy to debunk that.
Well, TrueAnon is a huge vertical that we devote a ton of resources for, which is just filled with some of the top debunkers in the nation. Another thing too is that there's this court document going around from last year saying these are the witnesses and co-defendants and blah blah blah. Oh
yeah, and it's Jay-Z and Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, it's Jay-Z will not be present at this trial. That is
debunked.
From a case that got dismissed last year.
It is from a psycho.
Yes, people see it's a court. It's something. That's the thing. It's a little. Let's maybe think for a couple seconds. This is possibly a little too good to be true. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry your pretty little head about it. It's
don't
just
look into it. It's debunked.
It's debunked. Consider it debunked. All right. Well, there was some stuff that came out about a sort of cryptic article in the Telegraph.
Oh my God!
That came not on Telegraph, but in the Telegraph that came out about somebody who might be making an appearance at this trial.
Yeah. So Brace and I spent some time trying to figure this one out. The article basically mentions a woman who and this is a direct quote, cannot be named for legal reasons, who is expected to appear as a witness for the prosecution. Now, again, I want to be clear. Some reports are saying that this is one of Ghislaine's accusers, and some are saying that it's a witness for the prosecution.
They're being really loosey-goosey with the language here.
Yeah, and it's unclear what's what. And, I'll explain why that's important in a second. So, the woman who cannot be named for legal reasons is expected to appear as a witness for the prosecution at Maxwell's trial, due to start on November 29th and set to be the trial of the century. Well, I agree. But according to the Telegraph, it has now come to light that the woman was paid up to £40,000 to help a tabloid newspaper set up Mr. Tom Parker Bowles, son of the Duchess of Cornwall, as part of a well-publicized sting in 1999. Now, Brace.
Yes.
Brace. Who is the Duchess of Cornwall?
The Duchess. Why are you asking me this?
Because
The
I thought it
Duchess
would be
of
funny.
the Duchess of Cornwall is, forgive me if I'm wrong, Camilla Charles' wife. Am I right about this?
Yes. Camilla Parker Bowles. Now, Camilla Parker Bowles, first of all, Brace, because I know you just Googled this. Do you see a photo of her?
Yes. No, I knew. I just didn't remember which one she was married to. I always mix up. When the royals get really old, I think all of them are the ones that's married to the queen.
Yeah. Well, they also all look the same because they're all related.
Yeah, fair enough. But I always mix it. I am not a royal correspondent here.
So she, first of all, not a looker. I'm just saying.
Well, I don't think that's fair to say.
No,
I'm looking at it right now.
So yes, she was Prince Charles's long-standing mistress, even while he was married to Diana. Diana dies. These two get hitched. Her son becomes, I guess, Prince Charles' stepson. Now, that kid is Tom Parker Bowles, who now apparently, and this is news to me, is some like famous foodie, which I don't even know if that's a thing. A famous foodie. I think that's a big thing.
Are you kidding? That is a huge. Aren't you on Insta? Isn't that like what Instagram is? It's just like people are like, check out this burger.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone self-identifies as a famous foodie, do they?
Well, I mean, maybe the famous appellation was given to him, but I mean, the man looks like he enjoys a.
Is he a gourmand?
Well, no, gourmand. All right, he is not. Let's settle this once and for all, because Liz and I had this argument in person. If someone's a gourmand,
Young Chomsky
that means
also was in this argument.
Yes, yeah, true. If someone is a gourmand, that implies a certain degree of corpulence. A foodie is a, let's say, health conscious gourmand.
So you don't think a foodie is like a? I see. You think it's like not as decadent.
A gourmand is somebody who eats their stuffed pig and then sucks their fingers afterwards. The glaze still on your fingers is sucked off.
Whereas a foodie is like a way more kind of like denuded, the technocrat gourmand, where it's like, I'm just like distance and take a photo.
The gourmand doesn't need to take a picture. The gourmand's eating.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is the gourmand isn't there for the lights and the glamour and the Insta. The gourmand might not even have an Instagram. The gourmand is just out there being like, your most decadent chocolate, please. That's like, you see. Yeah. I mean,
the gourmand's got gout.
Oh my God! Does the gourmand's gout is so bad, and the gourmand is quick to tell you it's not from beer, brother. It's from those rich meats I eat.
Yeah, the foie gras.
Another chop, please. The gourmand.
I love this new character. The gourmand.
Once Chaz changed his name to Chop, the gourmand. I love the first flight to Seattle. Is there meal service here? The gourmand is so hungry, and he gets there. He's like, what? How come the Liberation Garden only has these 2 tomatoes in it here?
What's that very rare bird that they eat, that like the only like, I don't know, like 2 of the princes of Austria can eat in a year or something? It's like the most decadent, like
I don't
rich.
know.
It's a tiny, tiny bird that you eat whole. And
You
it's
eat
like
the whole bird?
Yeah.
They do it with a veil over their head to hide their shame from God.
Yes. Yes.
My God. Well,
That is the gourmand.
the gourmand eats 3. The gourmand will eat a sparrow if it's offered to him, as long as it's cooked in a decadent way. For the gourmand, eating is something almost of like a not a sexual nature, but it's a close cousin to it. The gourmand's every hair on his body stands fully erect, like and at attention, much like a soldier in the Austro-Hungarian army would in about 1916.
Yeah.
He proudly waddles from restaurant to restaurant in Vienna's old eating district, having
This voice.
suckling on a kielbasa. perhaps a roasted apple,
And imbibing a delicious port.
Mm-hmm. The gourmand gets mad at that Seinfeld episode where he eats the sandwich while he's trying to have sex. He's like, "Why are you having sex? And why is such a small sandwich?" Anyways, that's what a gourmand. A foodie is just like, "Oh, look, I got a pizza."
They don't make gourmands like they used to. You know what I mean?
No, they do not.
Okay, so Tom Parker Bowles, back to him. He was like this little piece in the Telegraph says, the subject of a sting operation, where basically it was plastered all over the news of the world in 1999 that he was caught on tape, trying to get drugs.
It's such a, I gotta say, it's such a budget sting for today's standpoint. It doesn't even it's like him trying to get coke, right?
Yeah. Like he can't even get it for some reason, or he's like not going to get it. Yeah, and it's at like a party in Cannes too, which feels very millennial. Y2K feels very Y2K. But yeah, okay. So the to circle back, because we got a little distracted by the gourmand. What they're saying is that one of the witnesses for the prosecution, possibly even one of the accusers of Ghislaine Maxwell.
I don't think so, but yes.
I don't think so either, but yeah, we can get to that. Was a part of the sting operation that entrapped Mr. Tom Parker Bowles, son of the Duchess of Cornwall, stepson of Prince Charles, for the Daily News for the News of the World, and was paid £40,000 for it. Now, what's interesting is that if you do a little bit of digging, you can actually, we were looking for the original story, right? Because we're like, who is this woman? Maybe there's some information on her. Maybe this is a person that we can connect some dots. Can't find a copy of the story anywhere. I can find an image of the actual article, like of the paper and the whatever, but I can't find a copy of the damn thing.
Yeah, I looked around before. I'll be real, I gave up pretty quickly on that because I realized it's not going to have. So the reporting from the Telegraph on this makes it unclear on a couple of things. It makes it unclear as to whether she's a witness or whether she is a victim or what that is, because the two words are used in that reporting and in the re-reporting of it kind of interchangeably. But it's also, they're not going to, because the way it's said is that she helped the world of the news get
News
this
of
story.
the World.
News of the World, get this story, right? Now, News of the World was sort of famous for doing like sting operations using young, pretty female journalists. We do have the name of that young, pretty female journalist. However, it's like, again, it's a little unclear, although you and I were talking about this yesterday. I do think it's probably one and the same here. Me too. This girl knew Tom Parker Bowles and was like, and that's how the introduction kind of came along, because she was a very young reporter, probably hired to do this for that specific reason. But it is entrapment. It's so funny too, because it's £40,000 for entrapment of basically a guy being like, I think there's coke over there. Like, he's not even like, do you want to do a bump in the bathroom with me? He's like, I did coke. He says like, I did a line last night with a woman I met. Like,
yeah. And then he's like, but I can't actually help you get drugs. And they just plastered his photo from the party on the front of the paper. And it says, this is Camilla's son, high on coke.
Yeah. Fucking idiot. You You got to be like, yeah, no, we're totally gonna coke. I need you to hang out with me for the rest of the night, and also maybe have sex with me, and I will definitely get it for you.
Yeah.
But they didn't perfect that maneuver until Vice started like a few years later, I think. So,
Well, you said that this was like something that the papers were famous for, and News of the World was definitely famous for it. There was this guy at the time who was the editor of it, Phil Hall, who actually was the successor to Piers Morgan, who was there before, and which is just like fucking. The British tabloids are incredible. What a machine! But there was a story or kind of a profile on him and how he would secure and get these insane sting operations and these kind of insane celebrity or society gotchas. And they called it Hall's Angels, which doesn't really work that well. I guess it's like Hall's Angels, doesn't. But I don't think it works.
That does tie into something we'll talk about in a sec, though.
But they said, just like the tabloid tale it produces, the now fabled stable. God, I love the way these papers write. Let me say that one more time because it's so good. The now fabled stable of Hall's Angels is both scary and sexy. Its members are attractive female News of the World reporters, reportedly between the ages of 24 and 26, specifically recruited by editor Phil Hall for their ability to charm the pants off misbehaving men in high places. And so what he would do is he would literally be like, oh, you want to get your start in journalism? Come work for me and pose as a society girl and go entrap a bunch of, I don't know, famous young partying men and get them on tape saying something crazy.
Yeah, and it seems it's a very funny sort of practice that they really perfect. I mean, News of the World got into trouble for a couple other things involving, let's say, spycraft later in the publication's existence. But we think it might be Nadia Cohen because it doesn't make sense that she would really need an introduction to Tom Parker Bowles to get that line from him. You know what I mean? Like just asking, if you're a pretty girl asking a guy like that to how to get coke, he's going to tell you. He doesn't need like, oh yeah, this is me, Bird from the school days. I'm gonna tell you. She needs to ask you a question now.
Well, Brace, we've been kind of talking around this. The article here calls it a honey trap. We've called it a honey pot. But can you, in all of your wisdom and 32 years on this planet, all that you've learned traversing the world, can you explain to our listeners what exactly a honey pot is?
Well, before I really get into it, I want to be clear. There's a few different kinds of like honey pot, honey trap sort of situations you can be in. We've talked about on the show several times about what we would call like honey pots. Specifically that Michigan militia that was going to get Governor Whitmer. That was like a kind of classic honey pot type situation that really doesn't have anything to do with sex. It's just like creating this sort of
that we know of.
That we know of. Of course, these guys could be sucking and fucking behind the scenes. We don't. And it's this sort of it draws people in, and it's essentially like, I don't want to say a form of entrapment, although it really is.
It is.
But it traps you essentially by giving you something that you sort of want, or offering you membership of an organization that is from its either inception or very early on penetrated and sort of drawing you in to do more and more illegal acts. I'm trying to keep up the sex. Liz raised her eyebrows there.
Don't tell them.
But I think a lot of the ways that people sort of classically use it, and, I read yesterday actually that it was invented by John Le Carre, or John Le Carre.
Really?
I never actually learned how to pronounce it.
Le Carre.
And there's actually a bunch of examples from all throughout his work. I think one of the more famous ones would be Bill Hayden from Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. He's fucking Anne, very famously, but he's of course doing a little bisexual stuff there and having sex with some other guys, and banging around. What is the circus they call it? And that, I think, is really the more familiar version of what we're talking about here. So apparently John le Carré actually coined that term, although I don't know if that's true or not. I read it a couple
feels as
of places.
old as time.
It feels, well, the concept itself is as old as time. I mean, it's a very, 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 like, it's like a classic example of it. It used to be called, in a lot of sort of manuals I've read, sexpionage. And they would refer to like stuff that you would learn during this.
Too.
Yeah. Oh, they were big time proponents of it, and especially the East Germans. I think they actually made a TV show about East German Romeo spies. They called them because they had male sex pots that they would send out there. I know, but baby doll, they will break your heart. But to give you like a little example of how this would work, we're gonna have to go on a little journey with me. So I want you all to I want you to, especially if you're driving, take a deep breath. Put the pedal to the metal and close your eyes. My name is Helmut. I am a Naval Attache at the Estonian Embassy in Djibouti. I am there to help the proud Djiboutians refit some of their fishing trawlers into armed fishing trawlers in order to stave off the threat of piracy or internal but seaborne enemies. I, of course, am high up in the naval hierarchy of the proud seafaring nation of Estonia. And I'm there, attached to this diplomatic, but also a little bit intelligence and military posting out there at the embassy. Now, one day I'm having a glass of a local bitter spirit at a cafe on a boulevard, one of the many boulevards in this city. I'm sitting there reading my Kindle. I am reading about what am I reading? I'm getting stuck in a loop here, Liz. What am I reading?
The New Yorker.
I'm reading the New Yorker Estonian edition. And up comes a bosomy, just massively endowed woman swinging from side to side like some kind of pendulum. She looks at me. She is also, I can tell, she is a fellow European. She kicks over the table that I'm sitting at, sits down, and spreads her legs, Fatal Attraction style, to show me the entirety of her pussy. I am entranced. It's like looking into the eye of Sauron. And I go into a sort of fugue state. She says, "Hey, I'm an American woman named Velma who's here on vacation. Do you want to have sex? I'm so horny." And of course, I say, "Absolutely. Wow, you Americans are so forward." She leads me by the hand to a motel, one of the many motor lodges dotting Djibouti. Onto the table of the motel, right by the bed, she places her purse with the broad side of it facing me. Now, ladies and gentlemen, or fellas, actually, ladies, don't listen to this part. Fellas, if a woman ever puts her purse down around you, fair game to go through it. You're looking for money, you're looking for psych meds, but really, you're looking to see if she's a foreign agent, registered or not. Regardless, back to the story. She and I make insane love for like 7-8 minutes, like crazy sweating, like pouring, dripping, all fucked up, disgusting. Ew, oh, like there's like little kids like cupping their hands to the windows like it's Christmas. We'll go, ew, oh man, oh, you can milk that. And then of course I fall into a slumber, a deep slumber after I expel myself. And when I wake up 30 seconds later, she's gone. And her purse, which I did not rifle through, is replaced by a note. And in scrawled Estonian, it says, "Ha ha, you fucking idiot. I'm actually a Latvian. And not only am I a Latvian, I'm a Latvian who works for the Latvian Secret Service. And not only did I tape us having sex, I also taped you telling me all about Estonia's Navy while we were having sex. Even though I didn't ask you to do that, which, by the way, my bad. I figured women do want to know about that stuff. They don't. And she says, if you don't continue to tell me all of Estonia's secrets, both naval and otherwise. I'm going to show this fucking tape to your weird, freaky wife back in Estonia and your neurodivergent child. And they're going to freak out and divorce you, and you're going to go to prison because cheating on your wife is a crime in Estonia. And after that, ladies and gentlemen, I and all of Estonia's naval secrets are forever in her grasp, and the grasp of Latvia.
That's a honeypot.
That's a honeypot. Well, and you might be like, that's such a stupid fucking example. And yes, we are being hyperbolic there, but that's actually really not so far off from the truth. And this has been a constant in spycraft. Basically, around the same time people were like, having sex can lead me to learning things, people have been doing it.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's not even that. I mean, I don't think that's even that exaggerated.
It really isn't whatsoever.
We were talking about the case of Eric Swalwell. I can't say his name. Eric Swalwell?
More like Eric swallow that word, because I'm not going to fucking be able to pronounce it correctly.
First of all, change your name.
I hate the way this man looks, too.
Oh my God. Jason Sudeikis ass looking motherfucker.
You know what he looks like? He looks like a fucked up evil clone, more evil clone. Actually, he might be the good clone of Gavin Newsom, but he's of that mold.
His face looks like an Eric.
Hate it. But he was honey trapped.
Yeah, he really tried to cover his ass, but funny enough, Tucker Carlson didn't let him. Which is really funny. It came out that this woman, Christine Fang,
or Fang.
Yeah, she went by Fang, which is a very cool name. Embedded herself basically in San Francisco Bay Area politics, local level politics. She was enrolled at East Bay State University or whatever.
Not Diablo.
Yeah, something like that. And it came out that she had through her time here, it wasn't just local San Francisco and Bay Area politicians she was attaching herself to, but she also slept with 2 Midwestern mayors as what ended up being part of, allegedly, a big Chinese intelligence campaign, which is really funny. She met Eric Swalwell when he was still just a city council member in Dublin, which is Dublin Pleasanton, by the way, not Ireland. Dublin Pleasanton. This is a Dublin Pleasanton bound train.
Oh my God.
Shout out to my homies back home. But yeah, she kept close ties with him through his election to Congress, which then, he was a representative and he was on the House Intelligence Committee. Yeah.
Which is an oxymoron if I ever heard one.
Yeah,
Jeez.
more like House Dummy Committee, because it came out that the FBI went to question him because, oops, he slept with a Chinese spy.
Yes. And it's funny, too, because if you look at her other targets, they are the mayor of Fremont.
Yeah.
And I think, from what I've read, and granted, this is reporting about a Chinese spy in America, so I would take some of it with a grain of salt, but it makes sense from a spycraft sort of angle, is that she was well, or rather probably her handlers were well, these guys are losers now, or they're kind of nobodies on the national scene now, but eggs hatch chickens, right? And those chickens grow up to be roosters, and those roosters can sometimes grow up to be dogs. And so, it's they sort of have these people in their back pocket.
Yeah. Also, the FBI started looking into her in 2015, and then whoops,
she split the country.
She's out. Can't find her. Fang, out of there. She was fundraising for him for a long time. And also Tulsi Gabbard, which I'm just going to put it out there.
You think they hooked up?
I think that it's not out of the realm of possibility that at least Fang tried. And given the vibes.
Ro Khanna as well, who is a guy that
he's got to stop posting.
Shut up, Ro Khanna. Why don't you go over there?
That was terrible.
Yeah, it was pretty good, I think.
Oh my God.
But it's again, there are several different reasons to actually honey trap someone. So you could have blackmail, right? So in the case of our Estonian Naval Attache, he doesn't want his wife and kids knowing that he had penetrated.
What's his name?
Helmut. Yes. Well, he's an Estonian German, so actually kind of a suspect type of person in the first place. But he had, he doesn't want his wife and kid, because they only have one kid, finding out that he fucked, right?
Yeah.
And so that tape exists. He doesn't want that tape to get sent to them. But there's a couple of other reasons too to honey trap somebody. One is that you could actually like sort of gain this degree of intimacy with them, right? So say that I'm sleeping with Eric Swalwell, right?
Ugh.
God forbid, but say that's the case. In the pillow, I'd be like, oh, how's work? Like, oh, that Kevin McCarthy, he is so gay. Is he? And
Right,
stuff
right.
like that, and like
Sure.
try to, especially House Intelligence Committee, try to figure
yeah.
out stuff that I mean that seems like like pretty much a no-brainer.
How long is
there.
AOC out for her BBL, or whatever?
Exactly. Is she going to get a BBL belly button? One of these, these types of questions. They're important stuff. And another way is just to also just build these relationships too. You don't necessarily need to. You don't necessarily need to you would get information out of them, but you also sort of have this person as like a trusted contact of yours too. And so that seems to be what Fang was doing too.
Yeah. You have a long-standing relationship with someone. I mean, it's even better too if you can track it back years and years. These go, you can have a relationship with someone for 10 years, and you guys become really close. And then it's like, oh, hey, we're so close and we get along so well. Maybe we should start a podcast. And then you start a podcast together, and you see where that goes, and it gets a big audience, and you still have your trusted confidant, but you can still.
We hooked up.
Ew, no, what?
Oh, this is okay. All right. Sorry. I see what you're saying now. Yeah. That could possibly happen to somebody else. You're saying Felix and Will hooked up.
Yes, exactly. But here's the thing.
What's the thing?
Now, what's funny about this is there's just kind of a funny little cosmic kiss here, because if one of the witnesses, or perhaps accusers of Ghislaine, was herself a honey trapper of a kind, we believe that Ghislaine and Epstein were also, of course, involved in their own honey trapping, blackmailing, videotaping, possible extortion scheme, having, taped a lot of famous people with underage girls, allegedly, for years.
So this is actually a really important point, because a big sort of focus point for me for the Epstein stuff is the fact that, yes, these people are pedophiles. Yes, they're perverts. Yes, they hang out with rich and famous people, but they're not doing that in a void, right? I mean, one thing that is noted by so many people about Jeffrey Epstein is that his houses were wired up with cameras.
Yes.
Now, obviously, you don't need to walk very far to get to the next point there, which is that if the houses are wired up with cameras, that means that their footage exists of all of these different politicians, business leaders, religious figures, etc., are on tape. Podcasters are on tape having sex with children, right? And those tapes are very important. Now, we don't know for sure who was running Epstein, or you can have your guesses. It could be he was following in the footsteps of his dear milady Ghislaine's father and doing it for Israel. It could be for America. It could be for his own self, and he could be renting these tapes out, maybe like a Blockbuster style. We don't know. There's no solid proof. You can have conjectures, but we have no solid proof in any direction there. Hopefully, we'll be getting some more from this trial. But I think that's my God, they're going to try to impeach, one of the reasons this is being brought up is because Ghislaine's team is going to try to impeach the character of this young woman, or of this probably middle-aged woman now, when she takes the stand. But it's hardly could mention the honey trapping thing here, because this is a trial of possibly one of the most prolific honey trappers. I'll be real. If these tapes exist, which there is absolutely evidence that they do, then she's one of the most prolific honey trappers of the 20th century and 21st century.
Well, you mentioned that she was following in her father's footsteps, and that's another funny little cosmic kiss, because her father was one of the most prolific honey trappers in history, and also a man of the tabloids.
Yes. So he was involved with, I mean, there's so much to get into with Robert Maxwell that we do not have time or to get into today. But Maxwell was closely connected, I should say, an integral part, and certainly his publication was an integral part of the honey trapping of a guy named Mordecai Vanunu.
I'm sorry.
I know.
I love
I'm
it.
sure you pronounce it actually
Vanunu.
differently, but I've only ever read. I guess I watched a documentary on once.
No,
but I
it's
can't remember how I
Vanunu.
said it. It's Vanunu.
Vanunu.
So, as
Vanunu?
many people as you
Vanunu.
might have heard from liars and anti-Semites, Israel allegedly has nuclear weapons. Big whoop, you know? Okay, great. So it is nuclear. Who doesn't have, who in the Middle East doesn't have nuclear weapons?
Palestinians.
Or any other country. Yes. So Mordecai Vanunu was an Israeli technician who worked at the Dimona nuclear facility from 1976 till about 1985. And it's actually an interesting choice for him to have worked there. I mean, maybe in the 70s less so, but certainly by the 80s, a interesting choice. I'm not casting any aspersions on him. I'm just saying they're stupid for doing this because he had, as his security file noted, left-wing and pro-Arab beliefs. But he managed to get, to work at this top secret nuclear facility. Oh, but don't worry, we're not building nuclear bombs here. We never do something like that.
No, we're doing the other kind of nuclear thing.
Exactly. We're like, the power of this place. Anyways, the guy is made redundant in 1985, meaning he is laid off. But he manages to take a lot of photographs of the facility and basically, get what's essentially incontrovertible. Am I doing that right?
Yeah.
Okay, incontrovertible proof that, yes, this is what everyone suspects, a fucking nuclear bomb facility. So he gets fired in 85 and goes on this long journey to the east and finds himself, becomes a Christian, moves to Australia.
And
there, while
painting,
I know. Yeah, I think, yes, he did. In fact, he was going to give a lot of the money he was going to be paid for the story to the church.
Interesting.
So he's living in Australia and he's painting church walls, I think, at this point. And he meets this Colombian freelance journalist named Oscar Guerrero. Gotta say, this Guerrero guy, not a great fella. But Guerrero's like, yo, you have incontrovertible proof that Israel is building nuclear weapons? We have to sell this. And so he sort of tries to broker this story for Vanunu to all these different publications, Newsweek, Time. They all turn him down. They're like, no, that's fake. Also, they should be able to do it anyways. But finally, the Sunday Times over there in jolly old grey pea soup fog England says, we'll bite and we'll fly Vanunu out here to London. So Oscar sees Vanunu's tight little tushy getting on that airplane. And he's like, fuck, bro, like, I'm never going to get this money.
If you just go. Yeah, it's not fair.
If you just go.
That was my idea.
Exactly. So his ass gets on a plane too, goes to London. And so while Vanunu is over at the Sunday Times, who are checking up on this story, right? Like they're writing out this story. It takes a little while. It's a explosive, no pun intended, story. So they're kind of crossing their T's and stuff. Oscar goes to a little publication called the Daily Mirror.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a coincidence that he ended up there, by the way.
No, and the Daily Mirror is owned by one Robert Maxwell. Speaking of gourmands.
The gourmand of gourmand.
Gourmand. My God, a gourmand's gourmand. There's so many descriptions. If you ever read about Robert Maxwell in any link, you cannot avoid descriptions of him sucking his fingers dry of food. So while the Times is doing all this boring journalism,
Suckling.
Oscar presents the Daily Mirror, who are sort of notorious for paying for stories, with he has his copies of these photographs, and he's like, "Oh, look at this shit," and he's trying to get a quick payday and sort of cut Vanunu out of the picture. Now, yes, we mentioned Robert Maxwell, a agent for Mossad, is the owner of the Daily Mirror. But the foreign editor at the Mirror is a guy named Nicholas Davies, who at the time was a Fleet Street, kind of high society British cutout for Israeli arms dealing to Iran via Mossad at that time.
My
so
God.
it's a company called
Which, of
Oral
course,
Limited.
he's working for Maxwell. I mean, there's a link there.
There is a link there. Although
Yeah.
Robert Maxwell found out that Nicholas Davies himself worked for Mossad because Robert Maxwell was spying on the phone calls of everybody who worked for him. And he realized that at one point, Nicholas Davies was on the phone with a guy and, talking in these sort of, spy terms with a guy that Maxwell himself knew from his visits to Israel to be a Mossad agent.
That's not very efficient.
Yeah, so Nicholas Davies, of course, these proof that Israel has the nuclear weapons comes into this Maxwell Davies publication, and they immediately go to Israel. They demand copies of the photographs, which are sent to Israel, and Maxwell himself dictates an article basically smearing Guerrero, Vanunu, and the photographs as fraudsters and fakes. They published this giant portrait of Vanunu on the front page. By the way, no actual story has come out in the Sunday Times at this point. So this is the first people are hearing about it. At this point, Vanunu's in hiding. And he's been like, the guys at the Sunday Times are like, dude, you cannot go outside. Like, there is obviously some shady shit going on here. Like, hang tight. At this time, all of these Mossad sort of agents, or they're more like assets in London, are going like door to door trying to find Vanunu using the Sunday Times page as their guide. But Vanunu is like, fuck, man, like I want to get outside. I want to see the sights. I mean, he's a little bit of a spacey guy, and he convinces his Sunday Times handlers to let him go out.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they send a guy to surreptitiously follow him, but he convinces them to let him go out. And while he's standing there, possibly observing even Big Ben itself, a beautiful American woman named Cheryl Bentova. I think that's actually that's her real name. I can't remember exactly her.
Yeah, I can't.
I think it's Nina is the code name she's
Cindy?
going by. Cindy. It's Cindy.
Yeah.
This beautiful woman bumps into him. It's like, wow,
I'm a silly American. Oh, you're so handsome.
That's so crazy. He would
my
later
God.
describe her as like a Charlie's Angel type, which is a cute little, yeah, exactly. Turns out that she is actually an agent from Mossad who was recruited after she married a male Mossad agent. And so she is like, oh, this Sunday Times story is taking so long. Why don't we pop over to Italy to my sister's apartment where we can go there and eat pasta and have sex? So Vanunu is not a guy who gets a lot of pussy by all accounts. Like, I'm serious. This is by all accounts. The guy he's not getting a lot of girls. And so he's like, absolutely, let's go. Flies with Cindy over here to Italy. Opens the door of the apartment where he's beaten by Mossad agents, injected with a drug, put onto an ambulance, taken to a speedboat, taken to a freighter, and then shipped into Haifa, the port there, and then put on a very quick trial and then stuck in solitary confinement for 18 years. Sunday Times loses their big witness, and that's that. So Vanunu here is honey-trapped as part of this giant operation that Robert Maxwell himself plays an integral role of. And it all comes back, baby. It all comes back. Look at Ghislaine on the stand now for being a honey trapper herself. A quick addendum. Cheryl Bentova now is a real estate agent in Florida.
Really?
Yes.
Fascinating.
She's like, what's one more Jewish job I could get besides working for Mossad? That's it.
I got to say, I am very excited for the trial.
Me too. Yes.
Also, because it's you and me, arm in arm,
at the freaking courthouse.
Go into the courthouse every morning. Shemito. Haven't I done, what is it again?
What? I truly don't know. Shemito?
What is it?
What?
Chomsky, what is it? Come on, you know.
It's from Laverne and Shirley, right?
Yeah, Laverne and Shirley.
Gotcha.
That's you and me.
5, 6, 7, 8, Schlemiel, Schlemazel, Hasenbemfen Incorporated.
Yeah, we're gonna be like
Bernie.
Laverne and Shirley.
Kermit and Miss Piggy.
Like, who are another duo? Like Johnny Thunders and David Johansen.
That's not what it's going to be like at
It's the
all.
only other duo I could think. Like, Greg Ginn and Henry Rollins.
Weird.
You're a
It's
Rollins-esque
weird.
figure.
Really? You think?
Wow, you took that as a compliment?
No, we got two goofuses.
Yeah. Listen, I'm just glad not to be on the docket, baby.
Look, all I'm saying is, you can go to the regular papers for your coverage. You can go and see all the news that's fit to print over at the old New York Crimes and the like. Or you can come to these two goofuses. Who are you going to trust?
Exactly. Somebody who's
going to
also
tell you how bad she looks in the courtroom.
Exactly. Who's here is going to try to do a spitball through a straw at her and see if I can get her attention. You know what? Who else is going to make the court case about him but me? When I stand up and give a speech on how she shouldn't have done that.
I know. You got to stop reading To Kill a Mockingbird. That's what I keep saying. I could see that you are taking some notes.
I just rehearsed, give his speech from the end of that. That would be effective.
Clarence Darrow himself.
Christ, if we get banned from the courtroom, we're going to be insane.
You should wear a white suit. I just decided. A white suit.
You want me to get a white suit? That would be so annoying to be a guy. At least the court sketch artist will do me. She'll put me in there.
Did you see that they were like, we don't want court sketch artists anymore?
Really? She said that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. She's taking notes on the Weinstein. I found out a lot of people I've talked to in casual conversation don't know that there is a nude sketch of Harvey Weinstein from the court case where you can see that he doesn't have a penis.
Oh yeah. The papers, look, his people, the gay mafia over that runs Hollywood, they kept that one out of the papers. But I'm telling you right now, dear listeners, please, you know what? Fuck it. We might link to it because you got to see this thing.
I'm telling you, a lot of people first of all, people don't even know that Harvey Weinstein's dick fell off because he ate too unhealthily.
It fell off.
Harvey Weinstein does not have a working it does not possess a penis that you would recognize as such. He is a grotesque, let's say a reboot of a penis, right? He's got like the gritty, grim reboot of a regular penis.
This is the Marvel Joker version of a penis.
Exactly. So he's got like a leprous nub down between his thighs.
You know what I got to say?
What?
This is the fate of the gourmand.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. But for the true gourmand, he strayed from the path. The true gourmand cares not a whit for pleasures of the flesh, yes, but his own, and the flesh of succulent animals. Oh, I shan't desire to see the undulating skin of a belly dancer of Calcutta. Nay, I prefer to sup on the sweet, delicious flavors of a glazed pork belly of a pig. The gourmand likes two things. He likes to eat, but he also loves to laugh.
It's such a genuine laugh.
I know.
He's tickled. The gourmand is tickled.
Yes, and the thing is, gourmands have been given, like Fat Bastard is a gourmand.
Get in my belly! Come on!
He ate a
baby.
I mean,
Why,
that's the gourmand Breaking Bad.
I know. Yeah, exactly. That's a villain gourmand right there.
Yeah.
We need more positive depictions of gourmands in media.
Exactly. Gourmand diversity.
One last thing we should mention is that it's possible that Boris Johnson, the prime minister, which is the version of president that they have of Britain, had sex with Ghislaine Maxwell. That is pure conjecture, but it's based on a little bit of hinting.
Yeah, there was a great, I don't know what to call it, op-ed? Memoir?
Yes.
Personal essay?
Yes, op-ed.
In the, what was it? The Telegraph? Spectator.
No, it was the Spectator. Of course it's the Spectator. So
Yeah.
I hate the Spectator.
The Spectator is spiked of the upper crust set of Britain.
Yes.
Just an incredible piece. It seems very clear that Boris Johnson had sex with Ghislaine Maxwell.
So it's by Rachel Johnson, his sister, and it's called "It's Hard Not to Pity Ghislaine Maxwell," and then the subhead is "We met briefly at Oxford," which is an insane subhead. And it starts out, "This week I'm having puppies, first litter. The Johnsies were not doggy, as we always moved around too much. Blah, blah, blah. Talks about a dog for a while. Since my beloved mother died, I've become an executor. And blah, blah, blah. Keeps going down on that. And then it's like the 5th paragraph down. I mean, this is just like, what are my thoughts? What's my thoughts of the week? It's hard not to feel a bat squeak of pity for Ghislaine Maxwell.
A bat squeak?
Yes. 500 days in counting in solitary confinement. I intersected briefly with her at Oxford. As a fresher, I wandered into Balliol JCR one day in search of its subsidized breakfast, granola, and Nescafe offering and found a shiny glamazon with naughty eyes holding court astride a table, a high-heeled boot resting on my brother Boris's thigh.
The Ubermensch himself.
Yes. She gave me a pitying glance, but I did manage to snag an invite to her party in Headington Hill Hall, even though I wasn't in the same college as her and Boris. I have a memory of her father, Bob, coming out in a toweling robe and telling us all to go home.
Ugh.
So, quick thing about Robert Maxwell is, according to his maids, he would wipe his ass with a towel instead of toilet paper, and he pissed the bed every night. So, God knows what the
Alcoholic.
what he was toweling himself off from there. I'm sure Fairweather friends would not reveal they went to a Ghislaine Maxwell party. As Barbara Amiel's brilliant memoir, Friends and Enemies, proves, you only know who your real chums are when you're in the gutter. So I guess she's saying she was her real friend in the same breath as she's saying she wasn't. You know what? Don't get it.
Why
But I would love to see.
Why would you write this?
You don't have to write this. You don't have. If my brother was a prime minister, one of my number one things would be like, not implying that he had sex with a pedophile woman.
The Johnsons, the family Johnsons, are a family of, you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
It's everything they do. You don't have to do that. You
This
don't have
would
to
never
say
happen
that.
to a pasha. Yeah. No, never. And listen, any of you people out there have ever seen me getting my thighs stomped by a pedophile? Don't repeat that in print in 20 years. Okay?
Okay, I won't, I promise.
Thank you. All right, good. That was directed at you. Well, let's close this out.
I'm Liz.
My name.
Wait, I want to say, the next time you
Yes.
guys hear from us will be from the trial.
Indeed. Yes, it will. Yeah.
So, in person, in the flesh.
Yeah.
You and me, baby. Downtown
I know.
Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
No one
Yeah,
get COVID.
They confiscate your phone and your laptop and all that kind of thing.
I can't wait to watch you squirm. What are you going to do for 8 hours without your phone?
What the fuck are you talking about? First of all, I'm going to ball up napkins and throw them at the back of your head.
No,
Second
you're
of all,
not.
I'm not going to be on my phone the whole time. I mean, I can't be on my phone the whole time.
Yeah, because you're not going to have it.
Yeah, I'm going to be writing
What are you going to be writing?
my memoir.
Oh, great.
Yeah. No, I'm going to be taking scrupulous notes on this fucking trial.
gonna
And
bring up
also, we
books.
have to come out
I
with,
think
we
should
have to
bring
come up.
books.
We should, well, yeah, for some of the expert witness stuff, maybe. Speaking of expert witnesses, got a thing or two to say about this, one of the defenses. But, I mean, we're going to have to be writing the fucking notes or we're going to say that goddamn night, baby doll. So that's what I'm going to be doing, preparing our show for the listeners.
That's right. We have some
But yes.
super special coverage coming up right here. TrueAnon. These two, Goofus and Goofus. The only coverage that matters, the only coverage you can trust by these guys.
And what are our names?
I'm Liz.
Myself, well, I go by many names. The Devourer. Gary Glutton. the Suckling Pig's Master.
Oof.
Turkey Leg. But you shall know me as the Gourmand. And who is our succulent producer? Well, that would be young Chomsky, whose thighs I would like to take a bite out of right now. Fried in a bit of oil, no seed oil, just vegetable. Crispy and crusty. And fattened with a syringe.
Have you seen that Seinfeld where Kramer starts like going insane from the chicken house? I can't remember whatever the lights from the chicken house, and then he sees Jerry as a chicken.
No.
As a roast chicken, rotisserie chicken.
No, but seeing somebody as a roast bird, whether it be chicken or a duck or
It's a daily
turkey.
occurrence for the Gourmand.
It's like the They Live glasses. You put them on for the Gourmand. It's like, oh my god, like that guy's a steamed ham. Like
Yeah.
that chick's just
They
a-
have
that
the
chick's
little
just a-
white hats on their hands.
Yes, yeah. My walking stick is a ladle.
Everything, when it rains, it's gravy, baby.
Oh, it's all gravy. And the Gourmand's gravy is thick and rich, much like the Gourmand mysteriously is himself. And with that, I shall go bite into what else do Gourmands eat? Into a loaf of sweet meat. Of sweet meat. Gourmands love sweet
No, you know what
meats.
they love? A sweet
What?
bread.
Ooh, a sweet bread.
And
Is
like
that veal?
Yeah, an organ meat. They love an organ meat.
Livers and onions are what I ate when I was a young up-and-coming gourmand. But now, I might have the whole cow.
We will see you guys next time at the trial. Bye-bye.
Let's go shoot him. Jeffrey Epstein. Let's go shoot him. Jeffrey Epstein. Let's go shoot him. Jeffrey Epstein. Let's go shoot him. Jeffrey